Welcome to the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Spurs News Podcast. I am Sam. Joining me once again this week, it's Stefan.
How's it going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Life the usual, nothing exciting. Yeah, alright. Tottenham won a game of football, that's always weird.
I know, right? It's news to us. But
it's nice. It's a strange feeling. I'm not quite sure how to process it really. But I'm kind of, when I saw the FA Cup lineup and I saw the sheer amount of changes, I gotta admit I did fear the worst.
It was one of those kind of he's made too many. The thing is, because he always seems to play the same 11 kind of every week.
Yeah.
I always now have this fear of just how up to match speed are the rest of them.
Yeah.
Like if he drops in like Oliver Skip, a player who I think is a fantastic player, but he's getting no game time at all. If he suddenly drops Skip into the middle of a midfield battle, is he going to be up to speed to deal with it, or is he going to make himself look like he's not up to speed, and then it's going to be like, get rid of him, he's useless, sell him.
Yeah.
Or my favourite line, he only passed sideways.
Oh, don't. Let's not bring up the. Hey, did you see Harry Winks is now back from injury playing for Sampdoria?
He is. He's made an appearance.
Yeah, and he was brilliant. Like Sampdoria fans all over social media just sharing videos of his performance. It was really nice to see. Really nice to see. I really hope he continue playing for the rest of the season, and what happens. I mean, I think he needs a permanent deal somewhere, but just to see him playing football like that again was really nice. Yeah,
it was one of those ones. I noticed it was his birthday yesterday, day before, from recording this, and Tottenham official put out a happy birthday Winksy. Yeah. Holy crap! I hope the kid didn't see it.
Yeah, it's horrible, man.
All the comments underneath it, and you're like, Jesus Christ! It's a birthday post. Come on.
No.
Why don't you move? Why are you still here? You don't even follow us on Instagram.
No, people suck.
The biggest kick-off is the fact he doesn't follow Tottenham on Instagram anymore, apparently. That was a real big bugbear to people.
Yeah, well...
I don't follow my wife on Instagram. Jesus.
Oh, you should. She posted some very tasteful nudes. Anyway. on that note...
I'm so glad she doesn't listen to this.
yeah, me too. I'll be off that Christmas card list in a hurry. So obviously we did win in the FA Cup, which is great. I don't think there's a lot to talk about from that. I mean, we didn't really... The main thing that I enjoyed about it was we controlled the game from start to finish, even with that massive amount of changes.
Yes.
And I know it's lower league opposition, so you would expect that. But with those changes and with the FA Cup, sometimes you can end up in a real dogfight, and I felt like that never happened, and it was a nice feeling to watch us control the game.
Do you know what was even nicer feeling?
What?
It was Sonny looking like he knows how to play football again.
Yeah. So do you think our
happy.
Do you think our theory is correct then? That all he needs is like someone pressing him. Like we sign this new guy who comes in, so we lose Bergwijn, Sonny's form plummets. We sign a guy is like competition for him, and all of a sudden he scores 2 and looks great again.
Yeah, it was like, wait a minute.
And Dan Juma, of course, comes off the bench and scores. So
what a debut!
Yeah, it could be worse. So kind of parking that, we were just talking about Winksy.
Yeah, sorry.
And someone on Twitter, and for a life of me I can't remember who it was, and I scrolled back, but. Seriously, people tweet a lot, man.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find it, but I couldn't. So, if you're listening to this and hey, that was me, then apologies, I'm not name checking you. But basically pointed out, like, the players that are out on loan from us at the moment, which are players that the manager's looked at and has gone, no, not for me.
Mm-hmm.
But are out on loan and are returning in the summer.
Yeah.
So, you've got Tanguy Ndombele,
who should be a world-class midfielder, yeah.
Giovanni Lo Celso,
who should be a world-class midfielder, yeah.
Sergio Reguilon,
who should be a world-class left-back.
Harry Winks.
Who at one point was touted as the next big thing for England as a central midfielder, and Pep Guardiola wanted him. Yep.
Joe Rodon.
Yep.
And now you can
His
add
brother's
to that...
not very good at gambling.
No. Now you can add to that Brian Hill and Jed Spence.
Both upcoming potentials, yep.
The one I'm kind of leaving off is Destiny Udogie, because obviously we've signed him. He's remained on loan.
I'm looking forward to him coming in.
Yeah. But that's, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think based on everything I've read, Jed Spence isn't dead at the club, isn't the manager doesn't fancy him, just doesn't believe he's consistent enough in training and wants the kid to improve. So the loan appears to be a genuine loan of, look, go get games, go try and find this consistency, and then we'll look again in the summer.
Yeah. Which I don't mind for a player of that age, and having signed a player to be in his direct competition. I'm not too against that, if I'm honest.
No.
I would have preferred it to be a Premiership club, but...
I think the big issue with that is, from everything I've read, is every Premier League team wanted an option to buy him. Which is fine, but it's actually kind of nice that the player himself went, no, I'm not leaving. No, I can make it here.
Yeah.
And
that
also,
would have solved an issue, wouldn't it, really, if he had gone to
and also it would appear that he had a choice between a couple of teams of where to go, and he chose where he is at Rennes because of a guarantee of game time, because both of their right backs have both got injured.
Yes.
So it was a case of, no, if I go there, I'm going to get games.
Kind of smart thinking, until he turned down Atletico Madrid.
Yes, which then led to the whole Matt Doherty thing, which we'll come on to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what's that? Tanguy, Gio, Sergio. I'm probably going to include Hill in this. I think his relationship with the club is now dead. And Winksy. And Rodon. So that's 6 players who the club tried to sell last summer, or tried to move on, if you like.
Yeah.
Or tried to move on now, and have been unable to, and they're all back this summer. Yes. It feels to me like we're in this kind of catch-22 now of we're just stuck with them until we lower our expectations. Now, in the past, we've talked a lot about Daniel Levy, and we talked a little bit about me and you, I think, touched on it last week. It feels a little bit, or me and Matt definitely have in the past, a bit like his ego. He doesn't want to see a player leave. You know, I can get a few million for him. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
drives.
Which again leads us to the Matt Doherty that we'll talk about in a minute.
yeah, but it does feel like with that felt like a real, wow, we never do stuff like that.
Yeah,
that was actually a little bit ruthless. But then unfortunately it's then come out it was due to a massive cock up, which disappointing. Yeah. But one of the things I've promised for this podcast for a long time is I'd stop talking for non-stop and do the questions first, because 99% of the time I get to the questions and I'm like, I've already answered this. Yeah, and I always feel bad about it. So we are going to go to the fan questions. We're going to do it right now.
Now it's time for your comments from our social media.
Okay, mate, do you want to go...
Insta. Always Instagram first.
You always want to go Instagram first, okay. Well, the lovely and delightful Laura sent me across a few things, so let me take a look to see what we got here. So first up, we have Chris. See, Chris, I butcher your name, and I'm so sorry. It's VDLY. Chris Vidley. Do I drop the V? Is it Chris Lee? Mate, sorry. He says, "Hi team. Now that we have finally secured Porro, next season we will have 2 solid wing backs in Porro and Udogie. The next position for us fans to whinge about will no doubt be centre back, the left centre back, and a goalkeeper. Being a realist, who would you like to see come and take our defence to a Premier League winning standard?" See, that's the difficult thing, because he says realist and then take our defence to a Premier League winning standard.
Yeah. That's like trying to get two positive parts of a magnet to touch each other.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. See, there's a defender who I've always wanted us to sign, but I know we never will.
Who's that?
John Stones.
No, I don't. Yeah, I know.
He'll never come. He'll never come to us. But he's the sort of defender that I think he could come in and really make a difference.
Yeah, you put him in the centre of a three with a Romero type and a similar to the left of him, then yeah, definitely a ball-playing defender in that role. Yeah,
because at City he's kind of like he's in and out the squad because of how good their centre backs are. With us,
until injury this season, he's been pretty much a mainstay though. He's been very good.
Yeah, so this season he's been in and out, and but no, that'll never happen. But I don't know.
I mean, I know the two defenders that I'd love to see us sign, okay, and I don't think we'd have a chance. Maybe with one of them, but I don't think we'd have a chance. It's the South Korean defender we were linked with in the past, nicknamed the Monster.
The Beast or the Monster, that's it, yeah.
And also, because you see him, he went to Turkey when we should have signed him, but he went to Turkey and he did very well. And then he got signed by an Italian side, and he's probably one of the best defenders in Serie A right now. He's phenomenal. I'd put him in the centre, and then ideally, and this is where everyone laughs, I'd sign Vardiol and to be the left centre back. And that's about 100 million on those two, by the way.
The young Croatian, I think he's very specially talented. Like you look at him at the World Cup and stuff, and it's not going to be long until one of the big boys.
No, he walks into any defence. Like literally, I look around some of the best teams in the world. I look at the players they've got there, and I look at it, and I still think that guy upgrades them. I mean, he's only 22.
Yeah.
So if you were going to spend massive money on a player, you want him to be at that age, really. You know, if you're going to drop serious coin. I mean, the sort of figures being thrown around is like 80 million. Now, if top... yeah, there's zero chance we have that ambition, unfortunately. But I'm just sort of saying it, you know, how I'd ideally like to do this. Yeah. That is who I'd like. That is the player I'd pick. Now, the goalkeeper position, I think is a great debate. I mean, me and you had it a little bit where you'd say go for Henderson. I said go for Pickford because I think we were both of an agreement that signing a English homegrown goalkeeper really helps the squad in terms of your squad building, and those two are probably the standouts. Man United and Henderson still seem to be a little bit, whether there's a future there, I don't know. And Pickford seems to be a player that would leave Everton. I think this summer he's got a year left on his deal.
Now, a lot of that relegated.
A lot of it's going to depend. Yeah, a lot of it's going to depend on what happens with Everton. I mean, I really like Sean Dyche, and I genuinely believe he'll keep them up.
It won't be pretty, but he'll keep them up. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if he does keep them up, that obviously becomes a little bit harder to get him. But at the same time, with a year left on his deal, with Everton's financial issues, if the player himself says, "Yeah, I'd like to go," but then it all comes down to where we are at that point, because Champions League football will dictate massively, you know, who will want to join. Looking at the table, looking at the form and stuff, it's going to be a hell of an ask this season for us, I fear.
Yeah, I don't see Hugo being our number one next season either. So that's a potential for any keeper coming in to take over as the number one goalkeeper instead of being
it's not. I mean, his form, unfortunately, he's even said it himself in an interview that he's struggling for the same levels of concentration post the World Cup. He feels mentally fatigued. And I kind of get that. I mean, he's at the end. You know, he's retired from international football now. He's the most capped player of France of all time. The guy still pulls off some incredible saves. Don't get me wrong, but it is that difference between
every game he makes a fantastic save, and then does something that makes you facepalm. You're like, well, what's going on?
Yeah, it's just the problem is you get into that situation where the defenders start to lose confidence. And when that happens, it's a calamity back there, because they're they're dropping deeper because they're worried about the keeper not coming or coming and getting it completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's just a psychological thing. It's like no one back there is going, hey, you know, we don't rate Hugo anymore. But in your head, it's like, oh, he keeps making these mistakes, right? We need to
don't pass it back to the keeper. He might not get it right. I've got no one to pass it to. What do I do? Oh, I've lost the ball.
You know, you just get into this. You're second guessing yourself, kind of thing. So that's interesting. That's interesting for us to keep an eye on. But I mean, there was a lot of journalists who have very good insight with the football club, and those journalists they're worth following, because going into the January transfer window, those journalists were saying what we're hearing from the club is there's only 2 positions they're focusing on: another forward to provide competition to Sonny, and a right wing back. And the window's finished, and that is what the club has done. So you look at that and you go, okay, right. So from the outside, we're kind of like, we wanted 10 more players. But the club have gone, no, in this window, that is our focus, and that's what they've gone and done. Now, from our point of view, we're then looking at, okay, well, the summer is the bigger window. You know, it's the one where the bigger deals get done. And these same journalists are now saying the focus for the summer window is goalkeeper, 2 defenders, and a striker.
And a striker.
So, yeah.
See, that worries me when they say and a striker.
Well,
we've got Kane and Richie.
We all know it's coming, buddy. So next one from Instagram is Manor Black Sue Tens.
Definitely.
I'm definitely saying that wrong. Say we won the FA Cup this season. Do you think that would rather keep Harry, or would it be more likely bring forward his exit as he'd feel like mission accomplished, and he'd go off and win some league titles somewhere else? Great podcast. Not a fan of the TV show episode Stick to Spurs. Clues in the name. Yeah, so that was a dig. So basically, this week there was an issue where me and Stefan do another podcast where we talk about films, TV, stuff like that. And we got 2 channels, obviously, that I run: Spurs News. The other one's called the Stuff and Things Podcast. And I uploaded the Stuff and Things podcast to the Spurs News channel. Now, once I realised that, I was like, damn it, that's took me 25 minutes. That's annoying. I deleted it. However, iTunes, in their infinite wisdom, went, no, that's fine. You've uploaded it. You can't delete it. You've got to leave it out there for 24 hours. And then when I went to upload it to the correct channel, it didn't work. And then when I've gone to upload, it was an absolute nightmare. So it's fixed now, but thank you for the level of sarcasm I've received. Do I think it would keep Harry, or do I think, to be honest with you,
this is a debate I've had for a couple of seasons now of Kane is desperate to win a trophy at Spurs. But does that then mean that he turns around and goes, I've done it. I won a trophy at my boyhood club. Right, City, let's go. Let's win some leagues.
I think there's two big factors with Harry Kane this summer. One is the ability to win something at Tottenham is on his mind. Yep. If we do achieve that this season, he does lift the trophy, then that is a good feeling factor of we've won one, maybe I can do some more. The second aspect is people talk about him going abroad and just picking up trophies. He doesn't want to do that.
No.
Harry wants to break the all-time goal scoring record, which he should be able to break and keep for all of 5 minutes before Haaland does it like a week later.
Yeah.
But in reality, that's why the problem from Tottenham's point of view is they know he's not going abroad. Like this summer, if Harry turns around and says, you know what, I'm not signing a new deal, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
The club can only sell him because he'll only go to another English team.
Yeah.
We would obviously like to offer him to everyone in Spain, Germany, everyone, but
everyone
he ain't doing
but
it.
The Premiership. See, the problem is, like, looking at finances and everything else, and the way the last 2 windows have gone, the only clubs I really see going in for him are United and Chelsea.
Yep. And this is where the thing is. So you look at Man City. Man City tried for Kane.
Yep.
Couldn't agree a deal, so they went and signed Erling Haaland.
Haaland and
they also
Alvarez.
signed.
Yeah.
for the same money that they were going to spend on Kane, they got Alvarez as well. They are set now. You know, that position is filled. They went and bought other English talent to keep their homegrown quota. And, you know, so Man City, I think they're looking more at their wing-back, full-backs now. Mm-hmm. I think Kyle Walker's on his way. They've just got rid of Cancelo.
Yeah.
That's where they're looking. Man United absolutely want Kane. Mm-hmm. They are 100% in for him. He is the player they want in the summer, their marquee signing. We all know that Liverpool are just Jude Bellingham. We must sign Jude Bellingham. That's
so when he goes to Real Madrid, they're going to be pissed.
Well, yeah. If I was him, I'd you know, this is a genuine thing. If I was him, I would stay abroad. Because he is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the best English talents we've got. Look what happened with Sancho.
Yeah, don't ruin himself by coming to the Premiership.
Yeah, don't come here and have that level of scrutiny, press and crap. If he's got a chance to go to one of the Spanish giants, go there. Just go there and stay away from all this nonsense and enjoy your career. You're going to get picked for England. Trust me, you're that damn good.
Yes.
But anyway, that's a side note. So it is realistically, like you just said, two teams that can come in for Kane this summer, and it's Chelsea and Man United. Now, part of me would like to say that Harry Kane would never play for Chelsea. I'm also fully aware that Jimmy Greaves did. Yeah. There's kind of a synergy there, which is a little bit painful.
If you were to put Harry Kane in a Chelsea squad, that is like the one player that Chelsea showed last night against Fulham. The one player Chelsea are missing is a Harry Kane up front to bang the goals in.
Yeah,
it would destroy me.
Oh, they dominate. I mean, and we've seen them that they'll just keep spending. They don't care. You know, they'll just keep throwing money.
I've realised what they're doing. What they're doing is they're building such a squad now that when the FFP comes in and bans them for like 2 transfer windows again, they don't care because they've already brought every talent available. They can go like 3 or 4 years without buying a player because they've brought 35 players and they don't care now. It's fine.
No, it's bad. But the thing is, like, you can only register so many for squads. So
and the best bit is they brought in 6 or 7 players.
Yeah.
They were only allowed to register 3 of those for their Champions League squad because you're only allowed to make 3 changes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've got the Chelsea to play Champions League. Oh, I'm playing in the FA Cup. Okay.
Yeah, I'm playing in the League Cup if I'm honest. Yeah. It is weird. I don't fully get it, but I don't know. I think the Kane situation. I think if we win the FA Cup, we've got a much better chance of him staying. Personally, I don't think he'd look at that as mission accomplished. But I think the bigger factor is in what's happening with the manager. Because Conte is a guy who is driven to win, and that's how Kane sees himself. That's why Kane liked Jose. That's why he didn't like Nuno. So, yes, I did say that differently. Because I can't say it the other way because I don't have the jingle this week. So, I think if we have a strong end to the season, I mean, yes, please lift the FA Cup. I think you'd see a more determined version of him want to stay, smash the Premier League goal scoring record with us, with a view of lifting more trophies with us.
Yeah.
I fear if we whimper out at the end of the season like we have done in the past, end the season like 8th or something like that, with Conte leaving, I think he's just going to look at it and go, no, I've given this club, all my best years really.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. So that's what I'm prepared for anyway. We also have, from the wonderful thing at Instagram, David Kane, hopefully no relation, says, "Hey Sam, Matt and now Stefan, let's be honest, the standard of defending this year has been nowhere near good enough. It baffles me to sign Danjuma. Is he better than Lucas or Hill? It looks like Paro deal's done, but why haven't we pushed for maybe 1 or 2 centre-backs? We don't really need Danjuma to sit on the bench looking at Sonny doing F all. 3rd highest scoring team in the league at the moment. We need players to keep goals out. Romero is the only player we have back there that looks like he's at a level. Why can't the board, Conte, Levy see that we need defenders?" It's a valid point, but at the same time, the January window is a weird one. So, for example, if you're going to sign a player to upgrade, like signing Danjuma is a deal that kind of makes sense because he can provide competition. It is a loan deal, but he can provide competition, and we've all seen that Sonny clearly needs that.
Yep.
And he can come in, and if anyone who's looked at our benches the last few weeks,
6
we've had
defenders
no
and a
attacking
keeper.
player.
Yeah,
Exactly. We've had no attacking option on the bench because Richarlison's been injured, Lucas has been injured. Now, ironically, those guys are now coming back, which is great. It's going to give us a load more options.
Yep.
But you're only ever 2 injuries away from needing Danjuma. So that's why he was brought in. So that's one thing. With regards to the defenders, if you want to upgrade from the defenders we have, it is very simple for all of us as fans to go, we are crap. So therefore, surely there's upgrades everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not really true. It's not really... Because like Davinson Sanchez, I want to give this example. Davinson Sanchez could be sold to club in Italy, club in Spain, Holland, lots and lots of leagues, Germany, and Davinson Sanchez will start getting in team of the years. People are rave about him. If you look at him, he has got all of the attributes of a top defender. The one thing he lacks, and unfortunately the Premier League is evil for, is he can switch off slightly.
Yeah,
and
it's
the
that
Premier League
concentration level. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the Premier League, the pace of the league and the pace of some of the players, that is deadly. And once you do that a couple of times, teams target you because they're like, oh, keep going at him. I remember Jose Mourinho in charge of Man United playing against Ajax with Davinson Sanchez, and they're all being leaked that he was like, target him because he will switch off.
Which must
and
have
then we
made
signed him
really
for like,
awkward.
yeah, I know, and that must have been like such a fun reunion in training that day.
Yeah.
But we do have this situation where teams will do that, and that's what's happened. But I swear, you'll go to another team and everyone will look at it and go, wow, how, where was that guy? Where was that
Yeah,
bloke
he goes back to Holland or to Italy where the league is a bit more technical and a bit slower.
Yeah.
He's going to look phenomenal again.
Yeah, he really will. And it's frustrating to know that. But the reality is, so to do an upgrade, you need to look at a player who's going to be in English football, an upgrade. So you're looking at players perhaps already playing in the Premier League or players at leagues abroad that are at such a level that they could play anywhere. You know, like the Vardial I talked about.
Yeah.
That guy, you any league in the world, he's going to look standout. But then that's serious money. But forget the serious money for a moment. Clubs aren't going to want to let a player like that go in January.
No.
Because you're going to look at your midway through a season, you're fighting for trophies and everything like that. You're not going to want to let that player go.
No, you're not going to make yourself weaker in the middle of a season.
No. And because you want to have the time to replace them. So, for example, if Vardial lets his club know, look, yeah, I want to go in the summer, they are already thinking themselves, okay, we need to find our new version of this guy.
Yeah, who's replacing him? Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got the summer to do it. You know, there's no major tournament this summer, at long last. So you've got the time to sit down, to work that out, to get it done.
Yeah.
The thing that we don't do well, in my opinion, is we don't pre-plan windows. And what I mean by that is you can do deals outside of transfer windows and then they happen during the window.
Yep.
I have never known us do that.
No.
And there's no reason why we shouldn't. Like, we as a club should be on for Vardial, players like that, and get ahead of everybody and be of the opinion of, look, we want to secure this deal for this player in the summer.
Yep.
You know, you know everyone's going to be going for him. What is your price? Because we want to play it. We want to talk to the player. We want to convince him that we're his destination. Now, if you do that and the player and the agent goes, nah, we want to wait till the summer because we think Barcelona or we think whoever's going to come in for us, then you go, right,
yeah,
we got to move on then.
Yeah.
But at least you know now. and you can
instead of us waiting
plan
until the 28th of August.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like we really let ourselves down massively. They're just and I don't understand why that is. Like, it doesn't make logical sense to me. So that's that kind of thing. So in the January window, you are going to pounce on any opportunity to upgrade. So if a player like that does become available in January, which is rare, then I do believe we would have made a move for him. But at the same time, you know, whether we would have been priced out is a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
But we also have to move defenders on. So looking back there, you've got Lenglet on loan, so obviously he leaves at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Ben Davis, Eric Dyer, QT Romero, you've got Sanchez and Tanganga. Of those players, Tanganga is club trained and homegrown, which really helps with the Champions League squad.
Yep.
You know, Dyer isn't classed as homegrown because he came through the system in Portugal. But like at the start of the season was playing very well. Unfortunately, that's really dipped off. Sanchez, I think, is at a point where we all just agree it's time for him to find a new club, because after all this time and all these different managers, all these different systems, it's just never worked for him.
If he's still on the bench after 5 managers, that means that's kind of where he's going to stay. So
exactly,
go find a club where you can play every week.
Yeah. So, and I think, I mean, I said it last year. Personally, I felt it was time for Ben Davis to find a new club, but it's about upgrading.
See,
it's
Davis is my problem. See, I love Davis.
I don't have an issue. You see, don't get me wrong. I like Dyer. I like Davis.
Yeah.
I like Sanchez. This is just an acceptance that we are conceding too many goals.
Yeah, it's having to always take the heart out of it and look at it purely as these are the stats, these are the facts.
Yeah.
These guys need to go. For me, selling Ben Davis is going to be awful for me because I think he's been such a great person for the club.
Yeah.
Seeing him go is going to suck. But at the same time, looking at it logically, it's a case of, right, he's not a youngster anymore. And it's time to get... We're playing him as a left centre-back. He was a left-back. We need to upgrade to an actual left centre-back.
Yeah.
But it's going to suck to see him go.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it is, though, isn't it, man? I mean, I'm still cut up about it not working out with Delhi. So...
Yeah. And it's like, I see a lot of Eric Dyer as well. So I'm like, if Eric Dyer is not going to find the standard that he was at beginning of this season...
Yeah, then, he needs to move on as well.
And again, that's another player. I'm like, but it's Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer, he's Tottenham Hotspur. Like, you know, he's...
Yeah. There are players there, and I'll stand by this with Dyer. You put Dyer in a different system, different coach. Like, Dyer goes to Everton. Dyer plays every week, and people rave about him.
Yeah.
I know that sounds silly, but we're talking about Premier League quality players, and we as a club are trying to focus on Champions League quality players because we want to be that. We want to go that step.
That next step up, yeah.
Yeah, and also players under different managers and different systems can look completely different.
Oh yeah.
Best example I can ever give, me and you talked about it before, Morgan Schneiderlin. Southampton, under Pochettino, that bloke had a set role, and people talked about him as the best defensive midfielder ever in the history of ever. Look at him, he's amazing. Club spent big money on him, and he's been appalling.
Yeah.
Everywhere he's gone.
Went to United, guy's career didn't work. Went to Everton, hasn't worked.
No, he's now playing in France. His career peaked under Pochettino at Southampton, alongside Wanyama. Both of those players, without Pochettino's tactical position, like this is what you have to do, vanished. And that kind of happens with some players, especially in the modern game. We had a coach on here some time ago, Mr. Brooks, who talked a lot about in the modern game, players now, you don't really get mavericks. You don't really get players who like come on and do stuff. They are very rare because coaches prefer to go, right, you are my right back. This is what you do. You do not do this. You do not do that. This is what you do, and like control them like they got a joystick up their ass and they're playing FIFA. You know?
Yeah. Just to make you laugh, Morgan Schneiderlin is now playing for the Western Sydney Wanderers in League A on loan from Nice. That is how far he dropped after changing systems.
There you go. So hopefully I've answered that question. Next one, or this isn't a question, this is Jake Bennett 17 says, I actually quite enjoyed that chat about The Last of Us. I'll be subscribing to that podcast as well. Thank you, Jake, and welcome.
Brilliant.
This was not a clever marketing plan, I assure you. This was me cocking up. Churso says, "Hi guys, not sure if it was meant or not, but the last episode uploaded to Spurs News was a podcast all about the Last of Us TV show." Yep, sorry about that. That was me.
I love the fact that everyone's like, we're going to tell him though. We're going to tell him and let him know, just in case.
Yeah, and the last one is from Hoskigram82, who says, "What do you guys think of the answers to the Supporters Trust questions? Have you seen those?"
I've seen bits of it. I've not gone into detail on it. I've been very busy, but I have seen bits of it.
Yeah,
and
so
there's a couple of lines in there that make you go, and I'm like, well, yeah. The Supporters Trust were right. The questions they asked seem to have been the spot-on questions that all the fans are thinking of. And it seems like the club gave the normal kind of, no, we are looking at the future and we are trying to make sure we're sustainable, and the same answers we get every year.
Yeah, the problem is the trust obviously try and compile the information from members and try to put forward, like, these are the questions we want to kind of answer, and the club are always just going to bat them back politics style.
Yeah.
You are never going to get, unfortunately, from Tottenham under this administration, you're not going to get any straight answers, and to a certain extent you wouldn't expect to on certain things. But the thing that I don't like is the fact that there's no dialogue. This is where the and this is no fault of theirs at all. They do amazing work. But it's the case of you can't have this kind of back and forth with it. It's like, we've asked these questions, the club have issued a statement in response. That's the end of it. Like for me, for example, I would like to ask a question on the lines of, why is it with our transfer policy, do we never do a deal outside of the window? We were talking about it a minute ago. Yeah. There's a question. Because there's no rule against it. We see other clubs do it. Why is it we don't do that? Is it an ethical thing? We don't think that's the right thing to do? Could you just clarify that?
Yeah, there's clubs that have already signed players in the summer before the January window opens.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about Chelsea a minute ago. They've got 2 more players joining them in the summer, deals they've already done now.
And that was done in like October, November time, before the January window even opens.
Yeah, which is mad. So it's a case of why don't we do that? You know, why is it our recruitment always appears to be last minute? The club don't like the view that we as fans think they don't spend, and they keep putting these stats forward like, look at all the money we've spent. You know, we spent 200 million then, we spent 300. We as a fan base aren't looking at that saying, we don't think you don't spend money. We see players get signed. That's fine.
Yeah.
What we are pointing out is we are a financial behemoth. Your financial results show that we are up there with the biggest, richest clubs in football, and yet we spend like we are a mid-table Premier League team.
Yeah.
So you're saying we spent 200 million in the summer window. That's massive. And we're looking at the teams we like to think of as rivals, who are spending that level of money on a couple of players and still going.
Yeah.
And it's, if you treat Chelsea as a bit of a anomaly, even,
the
other teams that are around us have, like, for example, Liverpool we talked about before. They needed the best goalkeeper they could get in that position. They spent the money to get him. They needed a central defender. They spent the money to get him.
Yep.
And then they went and won the Champions League and the Premier League.
Yeah.
Tottenham were in a position of strength under Pochettino with a great team that were just right there, and we went 3 windows without a signing.
Yeah.
It was definitely 2. It feels like it was like there was 1 signing and the 3rd or something.
And that was them telling us we don't need signings, because there was no way that squad didn't need like 1 or 2 players to push us.
No.
Like we've both said, like if Wilfried Zaha had signed that year, we would have beaten Leicester to the title.
I genuinely believe that. I'll always believe that, because he is the type of player he is the difference between a win and a draw or a loss and a draw. You know, he is that ability to get a goal out of nothing or create something out of nothing.
Even if it's just he runs down the wing, gets fouled, and you've now got a good set piece, he's got that ability to do something. You know?
And if you think back to that team that year, Kane was in goal scoring form of his life. Eriksen was just a set piece genius.
Yeah.
You get a Zaha creating that space for them. So I don't want to dwell too much on that. It still hurts. So it's not, it's not about everything. Sort of gets put into this kind of generalized kind of thing, which is like, see, we do spend. Look at all the money we dropped on these players, and no one ever gets into the kind of appreciate that, but look around. What you are doing is not abnormal. You are basically doing what every team in the Premier League is doing, and not as well.
Yeah.
You look at some of the teams' recruitment in the Premier League. I mean, the best example we can give is Brighton. Brighton sell player after player after player to all of these clubs in the Premier League, and they just keep coming.
They don't get weaker,
No, they recruit well, and they just keep coming. Now, that is a slightly different model to a lot of teams, because they are looking at sustainability in the Premier League and long-term financial, because that's where Brighton are. They're fairly new to the big time.
Yeah.
So that's where they are, and then their next phase will be kicking on to European football and trying to stay there.
Yeah.
We're at a phase where we are trying to be a Champions League trophy-winning team. That's what everyone says is the phase we're at, and yet we continue to act like we're trying to push from mid-table. And that's where the questions need to be, but I don't feel like you're ever going to be able to do that, because the board just, brush you aside.
Yep.
So there we go. Okay, so that is everything from Instagram. So now we head over to Facebook. First up, Michael Jasper Annis says, question in honour of super sub Stepin Stefan.
Hey!
Who is your favourite Impact sub? Mine is Defoe in his second spell. He would come on and just snatch a late goal, or that's how I remember it anyway, through rose-tinted glasses. So for you, who is your favourite Impact sub?
Super Pav.
Roman Pavlyuchenko.
Always going to be Super Pav. He's one of my favourite players to have ever played for the club. For no apparent reason. Pav. Absolutely no, looking at the guy, he was no Berbatov, he was no Harry Kane, but there was just something about that lad.
Yeah. No, I loved Super Pav as well.
Nah, I don't want those. 30-yard screamer in the top corner whilst not looking. Go on then. He was brilliant.
Super Pav was great. Okay, so Sean Palmetter says, watching the Pedro Porro deal fall through over a few million while other teams overspend on players this month is infuriating. It just proves the point Matt was making a few weeks ago about how Levy cares more about the business side rather than winning. Do you think he has valid reasons for not pulling the trigger on this deal, or is he just stubborn cheap ass and lets his pride get in the way? And then he also wrote, okay, looks like that deal's happening now. But my question possibly doesn't hold up, lol. The reason why I've still read it, Sean, is one, haha. Two, now this is an interesting thing, okay?
Yeah.
Everyone who I trust and reliably bring information tells me that deal was dead.
Yeah.
When that 11th hour thing happened, the deal was off. And the person who then got involved and saved it was Daniel Levy.
This is what annoys me so much about Daniel Levy, because there's been a few times now where things like this have come out, and it's Daniel Levy that has literally come in and gone, no, come on, we want this guy, or we want to sell this guy, let's make this happen. When it comes
to thinking outside of the box, when it comes to how can we make this deal happen so everybody's happy, I don't think there are many better. Now, this is conjecture based on stuff I've read from people I trust, okay? But it would appear that there was a clause in Pedro Porro's deal around sell-on fee, and that lessens year on year.
Yeah.
So at the last minute, Sporting basically said, you either pay up this extra money, which covers our loss from this fee, or he doesn't go anywhere till the summer. Now, the player at the 11th hour is pissed because he wants to move. He's made his decision, his family's all ready, he's ready to sign. So he is now pissed and doesn't go to training. The club say, oh, you have permission, whatever.
Yeah.
He didn't go to training because he's basically pushing everything he's got to leave. The agent gets on the horn to Tottenham and goes, this is where the issue is.
Yep.
Now, up until this point, the agent's representatives have been negotiating the deal on Tottenham's behalf because Paratici couldn't. There's a side story.
That's not in Italy, though, is it?
No, but let's just say there are reasons.
Yeah.
So at the 11th hour now, Daniel Levy takes over. He goes in and he basically says to them, let's find a way. Let's find a way. The player wants to come to us now. We want him now. We've met your asking price. How about we loan him now with a loan fee of X, with an obligation, so not a clause, not an option, an obligation that we must buy him in the summer. And once it goes past a certain date in the summer, which just so happens when his loan expires, the clause for the amount that they'll have to pay on the Man City is greatly reduced. Lo and behold, the deal's done, and he was on his way to us.
It makes me happy that it's against Man City as well.
Yeah, I'm sure Man City are thinking that right ahead of we playing them.
Yeah.
I have a lot of issues with Daniel Levy, but what I want to often get across on this podcast is I am not Levy in, I'm not Levy out. I will try and call situations and call things as they are.
Yeah.
But the reality on that deal is it would not have happened. It would have fallen through without him stepping in.
Yeah.
So for everyone who's been, oh, bloody hell, Levy dragging his feet, everything, he wasn't involved in it. He was the one who got it done.
Ironically, neither was our director of football.
Yeah, no comment.
That's just... I mean, I don't know what's more of a shit show at the moment. The fact that our director of football isn't really getting involved in the football stuff, or the fact that the club can't count to 8. I really don't know what's more of a show at the moment.
No comment. So, Bob Rayner says, who made the mistake regarding Matt Doherty?
Hey.
i.e. either not knowing FIFA rules on players out on loan, or not knowing how many players were already out on loan, causing us to lose any transfer fee available, loan fee, etc. And how in the hell are they going to keep their jobs? Who individually responsible, I do not know. And of course the club are never going to announce that. I do know that this falls under Paratici's remit. He is the footballing director. He is the person in charge of all of this. Now, some might think perhaps he was distracted by certain other things that have gone on. But the harsh reality of this situation is, from what I am told, is we agreed a deal for him to go on loan to Atletico Madrid. Mm-hmm. The player went, oh, wow, totally blindsided, genuinely was told by the club we weren't selling him, and then turned around and said, yeah, we've agreed this deal. So he's gone, oh, well, you know, great opportunity to go to Spain, I guess.
Atletico Madrid as well. Like, if there's many clubs as a defender, like, especially as a defender, you get the opportunity to go. You've only got to look at Kieran Trippier.
Yeah, so he's obviously been talked into and he's gone.
Yeah.
He's on the plane, told his family. His family are like, oh, well, we're moving to Madrid then. Okay, right.
Woo!
Which is like, people always forget the human side of transfers. Like, this guy walks in one day and literally gets told, yeah, you're going to Madrid. Well, I live in London.
Yeah.
The commute's going to be a bitch.
My kid is at school in London. Yeah.
Exactly. So all of that had to happen. He had to convince his family that this is going to be great for us. You know, this is going to be a wonderful experience. Everyone's on board. He gets there. He does his medical. He's ready to sign. And then he gets a phone call. Yeah, hold on. We got a bit of an admin issue. You might have to come back. So having the missus talked into all of that, everything has happened, he was well within his rights via his agent to go, nah, no, that's not happening. I have not just gone through all of this in the last 24 odd hours for you just to turn around and go, yeah, there's been an admin error. No, it's not happening.
I believe a sentence along the lines of, here's my middle finger, you're not to do with it, was probably used.
Rearrange this well-known Fraser saying, off fuck yourself, go.
Yeah.
So he was there and the club then had a decision to make. Now, they obviously went to Atletico Madrid and go, want to buy him? Atletico went, no, not really. Got no money.
Yeah.
We'll give you a $5. But it would appear that there was a bit of a deal struck along the lines of, hey, you want him, we need him off our books. If we terminate his contract mutually, he can then sign for you, for free, and you've got him. Whatever contract you then want to agree with him, that's fine. Atletico said yes, and apparently there's been some sort of handshakes over, hey, we like each other. As clubs, we should do business more often. And a bit of a, cigars and paella time. Whether that actually ever comes to anything, I remember us having a special relationship with Real Madrid, which was basically every year they'd look at our best player and go, we'll have him. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Mental.
So that was that. Michael Joseph said, obviously Levy is a penny pincher, so I'm curious to know what our wage bill is for players out on loan. Mostly just the ones we can't seem to get rid of. Levy is a penny pincher. Again, I think it's important to point out that the loans, the negotiations, the contracts all now falls under Paratici. So yes, we all blame Levy for everything, but all the recent stuff football inside is Paratici.
And there's a man that's not covering himself in glory at the moment, so...
No. Some say fraud, some say accused, some say alleged. I have to use the word alleged. Fraud.
Yeah.
Or I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
So the players, every individual loan is different. The only one I know that we're not getting 100% of the wages covered are Lo Celso and Ndombele. But I believe the loan fees more than balance that out, if that makes sense. The other is sort of like 100% fees and smaller loan fees. So
I read this morning about Ndombele that apparently Ndombele is Napoli are not overly interested in keeping him.
No interest at all.
He's going to win the Serie A title at Napoli and then be sent back. Mental.
Yeah, I personally think that when they send him back, we're just going to go, let's rip up your contract, mate. Go find a club for free.
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't.
Okay, Mark Corder says, after 22 years of Enoch and Levy, when do you think the club will be a footballing success story? When they sell. I don't know, Mark. I'd love to say to you next week, but it feels very difficult. It feels very difficult with their model to compete, and with Newcastle now with the financial power to do everything that they want, it's becoming more and more difficult to stay within that top 4 bracket. The big 6 becomes the big 7. Everton are looking for a new buyer, and there's a lot of rumours that basically they're about to get bought by another quadrillionaire. And then that becomes the big 8. The
Premier League has always been one of the toughest and most unpredictable leagues, and it's just getting more and more so.
It is, and it makes me laugh that in that response to the trust, the club are pointing to these tighter FFP restrictions coming in, just like the FFP rules have done such a wonderful job in the past of levelling the playing field. It's horseshit.
Remember that time?
The rules.
That time that Chelsea got banned from transfers and they brought through their youth players and got better. It didn't challenge them at all. It's like these rules are
but
rubbish.
the irony was they were banned because they were breaking rules about youth recruitment.
Yeah.
Surely this is not lost on anyone that group of players they brought through, this cluster of players, was the reason they got banned.
Yeah.
They literally were going around the country throwing money at these young players, all the best talent they could find, throwing them into their academy. And don't get me wrong, they had to be trained, they had to be brought through, and they had to hit levels, and the loans had to be right, but they did that.
Yeah.
But the reason they were banned, and then the reason why they managed to maintain the sort of level during that time, was because of that. It was, anyway.
So, FFP, not the greatest rule in the world, anyway, but yeah.
No, it's horseshit. You only got to look at the fact that PSG, Man City, for example, the whole stadium sponsorships and stuff by their owners' companies.
Yeah.
You're telling me that's not dodgy? You're telling me that, to stay under FFP rules this year, we need an extra 800 million. Oh, in that case, that's how much we sold the stadium rights for this year. Cha-ching.
Yeah. Was it PSG is running at 111%? 111% of their turnover is wages.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah, and you're supposed to be Under FFP, you're supposed to be no higher than like 60% or something.
And
like
you're 11% over your income.
Yeah.
Now, as a business model, that's not right.
No,
as the FFP states, that's not right. But doesn't matter. Don't worry.
Nothing ever happens. Tom Perk says, interesting to see Spence go to the same club as Joe Rodon. How is Rodon getting on? Does he have a long-term future at the club? Rodon is doing okay. He's played quite well. He had a bit of a sticky time of it initially, and he was getting slated quite a lot by their fans.
Yeah.
But he's turned it around. He's playing quite well now consistently, but I don't think he has a future at Tottenham. I think Joe Rodon is a player who will be finding a new club in the summer. Dean Bernard says, with Man United and Newcastle doing well at the moment, top 4 is going to make it a lot harder. If we don't make top 4, how do you think it will impact potential targets in the summer? Adding to that, the uncertainty around Conte and Kane. Champions League football is a massive draw for players. It shouldn't be underestimated because there is an element of going to a side to win trophies, and then there's also an element of going to a side to play against the best in the world and to test yourself.
Yep.
And that is the Champions League. So the financial aspect, even outside of the Champions League, we have the financial clout to pay the top wages and to sign the players. But the Champions League is this kind of, are we going to be able to offer that? It's so difficult. And also players looking at coming into England know that the Premier League in itself is a kind of top league.
Yes.
So you do have Premier League draw to foreign players, but players within the Premier League, to take them from a side who might feel that they're your competition, Champions League is what you need.
Yeah.
So if we are looking to recruit from the Premier League, definitely. If we're looking to recruit from around the world, people will look at that and go, Tottenham, top stadium, top ground, top facilities, top players, top manager, and they're playing in one of the top leagues. They are one of so many teams who are always going to be up there fighting. Yeah, it's a good shot.
Yeah. I think you've only got to, again, look at the Liverpool and Chelsea of this season, where they are in the league, and they're still... Chelsea are still just buying anyone. They'll just throw money at them. But Liverpool are still being linked to really big name players. Yeah. Chances are those two are not getting Champions League next season, so they're having to go abroad.
No, they won't.
And they're bringing
they are in a position... Yeah, they are in a position now where they're almost... If they accept where they are, they're just going to stay out of Europe altogether for a season and watch the pair of bastards dominate next year without that extra game.
A midweek game freedom, yeah.
Yeah, the issues around Conte and Kane are massive for recruitment. That's no joke.
Yep.
You listen to players who join us, and they often will say, the chance to come here and play alongside Harry Kane.
Yeah.
The chance to come here and play under this manager. If you get to the point where Conte isn't going to sign a new deal and we have got to find somebody else, whoever we find has to be at a level where the players and any potential players feel confident that you are still going forward.
And there's not... don't get me wrong, I am not Conte's biggest fan. I haven't been since he joined us, and all these kind of thievery things and I'm going to leave after the Burnley game last season stuff, it has done nothing to kind of wow me about this guy. However, in terms of pure pedigree and success as a manager, there's not many out there. Like, we're going to have to bring in Carlo Ancelotti or Pep Guardiola sort of thing to kind of match what we've got at the moment. And I don't see Ancelotti joining Spurs in the summer, and I don't see Pep leaving Man City in the summer. So all of a sudden, it's kind of like, right, who is out there as a manager of the pedigree of Conte?
Yeah.
We've tried Mourinho, that didn't work.
No, no, it didn't.
There's not many left.
To keep the fans on side, I think Pochettino's the only one you could possibly bring in where we won't be ready to just burn the board at the stakes on day one.
Yeah.
However, at the same time, I don't think he carries the weight of a Conte or someone like that.
He's got a personal attachment to Kane, which could be the only way we keep Kane, is that personal attachment. Yeah. But knowing us, we're going to sign the manager of some League One club because he's a young Englishman. He's got the potential to be a fantastic manager.
Yeah. Well, whoever's in charge of Southampton's normally our go-to.
Hey,
Scott Kinsey Nielsen says, and this is a long one, so personally, I'd like to know what plans Levy has in store for the future of the club. No stadium naming rights as of yet. The stadium has been open a few years now, which seems strange. Manager's future's up in the air. Have we got funds available to keep adding strength to the first 11 in the summer? Not squad players. Out on loan players as in Gio and Ndombele, Gil, Reguilon, Winks, are they just loans with no obligation to buy? I mean, what's going to happen there? He goes on. We have a loaded, bloated squad come June the 1st, so we won't be able to sign anyone until these players have left. It seems like a complete shambles. Also, Kulusevski and Porro deals are only made permanent in the summer. Does that come from the summer budget, or was that money put aside? So many questions. Yeah.
Where to start?
Okay, so let's start by addressing Kulusevski and Porro. They are loan deals. They both get triggered in the summer to become permanent transfers. At that point, we do not splash all that money. So we are not putting down 45 million quid in one go. It becomes installments. And so it goes on to our books from the summer as installments. So you're looking at about 7.5 million for Porro and probably about 5 million initial installments for Kulusevski. So that's what will come out of the budget in the summer. A lot of people often overlook that, so please keep that in mind. When it comes to the players and the obligation loans, we've already discussed that, so hopefully we've answered that for you. The stadium naming rights, that keeps coming up, and I keep just drawing a blank. I genuinely don't know. The Trust asked the question, and the Trust got a bit of an interesting response actually on this, which was, we have to find the right partner for the club, but until we do, our club name is on one of the greatest venues in the world, and it is kind of true. Like, I have friends in America who said, hey, like, my team are playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's your club you follow, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, it is. And like, Beyonce's now doing 3 dates at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Unfortunately, I've looked into it. She can't play left back. So I tried. But these events, these money-making things, everything, is what is paying for the stadium.
Yep.
So I see people get really irritated. There used to be a football club over there. I get that. I get how you feel. I get at the moment you're annoyed. But that Beyonce, those 3 nights for Beyonce, it literally covers all the stadium, everything, for a year. Now, everything else just pays for the stadium. All the loans, everything. The cost of building that arena is done.
I saw on Twitter someone put a response to this. So I think it was the Beyonce thing was announced, and someone underneath it put, the same sort of thing. Great. I remember when a football club used to have that stadium. Yeah. And someone put underneath it, imagine you've just been offered the chance to live in this absolute massive mansion. Yeah. However, once a week you've got to let a school football team train at the back of your garden. Yeah. And that pays for you to live in this massive mansion. You're going to say yes or you're going to say no?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that hits the nail on the head, doesn't it, really?
Well, that's it. I mean, you look at the events that they're putting on now, and it's only growing. Yeah. Because as the reputation for the arena grows, the more and more, like, there's boxing, there's talk of the UFC coming over and the UFC using the stadium. There's talk of WWE wrestling coming over and using the stadium for a pay-per-view. Yep. Now, these events on their own, basically these people hire the stadium, and one of the things they get, or don't get if you like, is all the facilities within it, all the bars, everything like that, are owned by Tottenham. Yeah. All of this stuff that's taken in. Like, every game day, we make a fortune. Every event,
didn't they say like the bars make about £1 million per match?
Yeah, every home game.
Yeah,
every home game, just the bars. Yeah. Mental. So you got to look at this and go. I mean, I understand that. Where's that money? Why aren't I seeing that invested in the team? That is a valid question, and I think that is something that every single fan should query. And when the accounts are published soon, should be looking at that just to say, okay, so where is this money going? Because ENIC's thing all along, and it is true, is they have never taken money out of the club.
Yep.
The club self-funds. They bought it and they've built it and managed it, so it self-funds.
Which as a business model is phenomenal.
Well, for them as an investment is... I mean, they bought the club for £200 million, mate. They're going to sell it for over $2 billion.
Yeah. Like, purely as a business model...
And they've put no money in.
Yeah.
You know, they've put, 100 million in 150 million, and that was like a bond issue.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway. So, they're more than laughing. Now, when it comes to what happens with that money and everything, in my mind, it is paying down the stadium debt, which means that all of the football revenue is not used for that. All of the football revenue is used to pay wages. It is used for footballing stuff. Now, when the stadium debt's clear, that's the interesting point. Now, this is like 10 years down the line, by the way, but this is just from my point of view is an interesting thing, because what happens then?
All of a sudden, you get a crap load more money.
Well, yeah, but does that become football club revenue, or is that Tottenham Hotspur PLC revenue? Like, I'd love to ask that question. Like, what is the goal then?
Yeah.
Like, what happens then? So, if you're ENIC and you're are you then gonna say, oh, we are taking money out of the club now, and it's this, like, every time we have an event, that's ours, football, that's all football. But that interests me, that kind of, because that would speak to me on are we ambitious as a football team, or are we ambitious as a business? Because as a business, we're kicking ass.
Yeah.
As a football team, we're kind of middling. And again, in this response to the trust, they were like, oh, when we took over, we were relegation fighting, bottom, mid-table at best, and now we're always up there fighting for trophies in Europe. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That cannot be denied. That is a transition. But in 20-some years, we've won one trophy, which is the leanest we've ever been in our club's history.
I can't believe you discarded the Audi Cup that easily. Oh.
Sorry. Yes, the Peace Cup as well. I shat on them both. I feel awful for it. But that's the truth.
Yeah.
And so as a fan base, we look at it and go, football has changed. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, yeah, you signed players and stuff, but it was about... You could cultivate a team. A team that won the league one year might not necessarily be in the top 5 the next year, because teams all developed and were coached, and there was so much more on that. 80s into the 90s, it was similar, but then the 2000s, money talked.
Yeah.
Roman Abramovich changed the game. And in doing so, we as a club have never really changed. We've never changed our model. We've just come, just keep swimming, hopefully we'll win something, just keep swimming, and yeah, okay, fine, but as a fan, we want to win stuff, we want to be successful, we want to support a good football team, and it's, to me as a fan, it is not the be all and end all, and I've said it before, but that's what we all want.
Yeah.
And we want to enjoy it, we want to be a fan of something we can all be proud of. Like I said, as a business, slaying it. you look at the business acumen of this club. Wow.
Yep.
And that kind of moves me on to the next question. Is from Dirk van der Merwe, who says, please discuss this. This will be worse than Arsenal's Visit Rwanda sponsorship. Now, this is a difficult one for me. So it would appear that our shirt sleeve sponsor Cinch is up at the end of the season.
Yep.
And we have replaced that deal with a kind of like Visit South Africa, with South Africa tourism deal.
Yeah, I've heard about this, yeah.
The two key points to that is, one, from a club point of view, financially it's much better than the Cinch deal. So more money.
Happy days, yeah.
From a South Africa point of view, the South African nation are pissed. They do not want to see their public money spent on sponsoring the sleeve of a football team.
Yeah.
I can understand that, and there's some very detailed news articles out there for people to read. I don't think it's my place to really comment on it. I don't think I can. I've got very good friends in South Africa. I spent some time there playing rugby. It's a beautiful country. When I speak to my friend from South Africa, I end up talking like that for like 5 whole days. And I can't quite shake it. It does my nut. But yeah, I got nothing but love for the place, and I don't know enough to understand fully why people are so pissed. So I don't want to comment on it, if that makes sense
to me,
but that is something for everyone to look out for. Okay, we're into the final 2. Ryan Miller says, seeing as you are both such wonderful people, I have 2 questions. Jackass. Number 1, how do you rate the January transfer window for Spurs? Potential more game time for Spence and White is... White? Oh, Harvey White is great. Would have been nice to bring in a centre back. And number 2, can you tell us a bit more about the young striker we bought from Chelsea? Okay. Do you want to take the first one? How do you rate the window?
We did what we set out to do in the 2 positions the club wanted to sign.
Yeah.
And we've signed decent options. Like, I've never seen Porro play apart from against us. Yeah. So my whole thing...
He tore us a new one twice.
Yeah, exactly. But my whole stance on him is very kind of neutral. Let's see how he plays in this system. I don't know enough about him to do it. I've got a friend of mine who signed him on Football Manager a few times, and he reckons he's really good. But...
Do you feel jaded by the Tottenham lack of success in signing people? That when we sign people, even if every pundit, everyone in the world saying that's a cracking signing, you're still going, he's going to be shit for us.
There is that niggle. There is definitely that niggle in that head. Like when the new striker came in and scored on his debut, I'm like, well, that's his only goal for us this season. Yep.
You did say that, yeah. You did message me that, I remember.
What a way to waste your only goal against Preston. Oh.
I don't know. It was alright. He totally scuffed it as well, which is funny. Okay, so yeah. So rating the window, kind of like the bare minimum got done for me. But at the same time, I do understand it was the January window, and if Porro is at a level we all hope he is, then that could be quite significant. It could really be a game changer for us. The young lad we signed from Chelsea is a player who, coming through the Chelsea academy, was very, very highly rated. Was banging the goals away in the younger youth level, sort of like getting 3 to 4 a game regularly. However, he got an injury, and after he came back from injury, sort of that step up from the younger to the youth level, he kind of missed a bit of time, so he was a bit behind his bracket. His frustration set in with Chelsea, where he was finding it hard to see a pathway to ever play for Chelsea, which I think is something that Chelsea have now got a problem with. Todd Bowley's come in and is just signing.
Yeah,
so every one of their youth... Yeah, so their youth players are now looking around at options. You're going to see a fair few of them wind up in Germany, I assure you, and there's some very good players there. Now he, from London, etc., and we gave him an option to come to us. The other club who were in for him in this window was Man City, so he had the choice between us and them, and he picked us. Now, there were 2 parts of that deal which I found quite significant. One is it's the first transfer between us and Chelsea of any kind since they stole Frank Arneson from us and we reported him to the FA. That's how long ago that was. This is the first deal between our clubs of any kind since then. So clearly now Roman's gone.
That's that big step for us.
So clearly now Roman's gone, there are now conversations. We just wouldn't even speak to him. I remember when they were trying to sign Luka Modric, and we were just like, no, I don't care how much you put down. Luka was like, I'll go on strike to leave, and we're going, no chance. Like, we will literally sit your ass in the reserves before we sell to them. And then he ended up going to Real Madrid. But that's that kind of... So that's the one thing. The other thing is, he is a signing that we come in... We are not, in my opinion, short of strikers in the academy. Like, Jamie Donnelly's there.
Scarlett's out on loan, but he's... Yeah.
Scarlett's out on loan. Troy Parrott. Will Lancashire's come in as well. We signed... So, clearly, somewhere in our recruitment for the academy, we looked at it and went, we're short of strikers, but wow, have we addressed that now? For me, this kid's coming in, is going to play the second half of the season in our under-21s. and then we'll go out on loan in the summer, and then I think everyone will then take an assessment of where he is and how he's doing.
Yeah.
You can never tell. For every top player that comes through, even with loans, it's about game time and playing. Because people are very critical. Oh, Troy Parrott, he's already banged them away and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's about games, learning what it is to be a professional footballer at first team level.
Yep.
Harry Kane never scored a lot of goals on loan.
No.
Kane did not come back to Tottenham from all of his loans with all of us going, there he is, there's the kid, 30 goals a season incoming.
Millwall, Norwich,
Leicester, yeah.
And
yeah,
he was
and
never
I think
prolific at any of them. No.
Maybe scored 10 across all the... he wasn't prolific, but he learned.
Yeah.
He learned a hell of a lot, and when he came back, his work ethic was exceptional and then became undeniable. You had to put him in. Now, that is what you look for. You look for the players to go out, to learn what that is, and then when they come back, to be like, I want to be playing in that first team. Like, I don't want to go back to youth football. Like, I've experienced first team football, and I am ready for this level. And you'd be amazed the difference a player can look at with higher quality around them, So people don't get hung up on stats, don't get hung up on Parrott's played this many and only scored this, or different players, they've only done this and done that. Focus on the game time they're getting. Focus on the what fans are saying. Dane Scarlett, Portsmouth, I keep reading, well, he's obviously not good enough, he's not making their team anymore. Go to the fan comments who are raving about him. Kid's phenomenal, kid's brilliant, can use both feet, use his head. The fans are the ones who watch the games.
Yep.
Coaches come and go. The coach has changed there and is obviously trying a different system.
And the coach has only just changed there. Like, literally, they've only just changed manager.
Has, yeah.
It was my old PE teacher is out and a new guy is in.
Yeah, your old PE teacher.
Can I point out, I have been coached by the same guy as Dane Scarlett. Just throwing that out there.
There you go. So the last one is Lee Ryder, who says the club's lack of transparency in the upcoming accounts and who gets what from non-match day events. I guess you just want me to comment on that. There isn't a lack of transparency. That they are going to be published. The club normally issue a bit of a statement to go along it, but they have to publish it in full. It's the law. So people who are smarter than me will go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Now, if you are interested in the financial side of football, there is an account on Twitter called Swiss Ramble. SWISSRAMBLE. Just search that. He does a breakdown and has every club in the Premier League release their accounts, and some of the biggest clubs around the world. He goes into a level of detail which is phenomenal. And I mean, I've got a financial services background and I can read through accounts and I can look at stuff and I can pick things out. This guy always spots more than I ever do. So I just let the guy do his thing.
Yeah.
So if you're really interested in that side of it, take it as soon as you hear that they're released, follow that guy on Twitter, and when the accounts, and once he's gone through them, he'll do a series of tweets just breaking it all down, even with graphics and graphs and stuff. It's wonderful. But yeah, it's something to keep an eye out on. Mate, that's it. We're done.
Is that all the questions?
We've answered everyone.
That is like an entire podcast of questions.
It is. It really is.
And some really good ones. To be fair, some very good ones.
Well, it kind of covered everything, I think. I don't think there's anything left to say, which I'm delighted with because I'm very tired now.
Yeah.
But all it gives me a chance to say is a big thank you to everybody for continuing to listen. We will be back next week to talk the terrible, shocking victory over Man City, which hands Arsenal the title, or the well-planned defeat to Man City, which keeps Man City right up there against them. Either way, I'm happy.
It's an awful, awful situation, isn't it? Like, can you imagine as a Spurs fan wanting to... It's the second time in a month that we've gone into the match going, just lose. Please, don't be
lose.
embarrassing. Like 1-0, 2-1, that's fine.
Just field the under-18s reserves and we'll go, were we supposed to try in every game? Oh no. Just like everyone did to let Leicester win the title, just bend over.
What I don't want to see happen is us to take a 2-0 lead at the end of the first half. Given that hope of, we've turned the corner, here we go, and then lose 4-2. Because that was...
That's painful to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, a big thank you to everybody for listening. We will be back next week to discuss more. Until then, everyone, you all take care.
See you later, and come on, you Spurs.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.